And the Pope made an announcement the other day, and I'll just read it so that everybody gets this. The tragedy of that day is compounded by the perpetrator's claim to be acting in God's name. Once again, it must be unequivocally stated that no circumstance can ever justify acts of terrorism. Every human life is precious in God's sight, and no effort should be spared in the attempt to promote throughout the world a genuine respect for the inalienable rights and dignity of individuals and peoples everywhere. Well, thank you, Pope. That's great, except that you're a liar. We need look no farther than your own holy book, for example, in Leviticus 24, 10 through about 23, where a man blasphemes God and they set him aside, and then Moses and them go and ask God what they should do about it, and God says, hey, get everybody together and stone him for blaspheming, and they do, and they carry this out. It becomes, I don't know what you could call that other than terrorism, other than going after the non-believers. It's certainly not the idea that every life is equally precious in the eyes of God when your God sanctions that sort of thing. I believe that the Jewish and Christian God, like other gods, is a fiction. A monstrous fiction spawned from ignorance and superstition of ancient people. The character of this God, fiction or not, is immoral. Your God, real or no, isn't deserving of respect, admiration, or love. It's deserving of pity and enmity. Anyone whose humanity hasn't been poisoned by the vile instructions offered by those religions and in that God's name should be willing to offer nothing less than forthright opposition to the tenets of the religions spawned by those instructions. The Pope and other modern Christian leaders can try to paint their religion with a rose-colored brush all they want, but they look foolish as we still have the historical records of the actions sanctioned by that religion and others, such as the Crusades, slavery, and witch-burning, but also right there in their own sacred text, as I mentioned. Contrary to the Pope's lies, terrorism is justifiable by many dogmatic religions which rely on the authority of ancient scriptures and petty gods. No one could ever use humanism as a justification for the atrocities committed in the name of religion. It simply isn't possible. There are few things more virtuous than reviling corruption and blaspheming those ideas which prey upon humanity's fears to encourage divisive and cruel actions. So I've been blaspheming your God for years, and I will continue to blaspheme your God, who I believe is a fiction and is vile and is deserving of blasphemy and cursing and everything else. Yes, I'm mad at a fictional character, I guess. I'm mad at the concept, and I'll blaspheme it till the day I die. Because your gods are powerless to do anything about it. Your ancestors knew this, which is why they wrote the prohibitions against blaspheming in there. Why else would you need to get the city, the group together to stone people? If God's so worried about people blaspheming, why doesn't he just take them out himself? They're feeble and weak, these ideas. And so I will continue to blaspheme. And those of you who don't gather up stones against me, which I would hope would be the vast majority of you, should take a moment to consider why you don't. Why don't you? I mean, I'm sitting here blaspheming, and don't worry, I'm not saying, necessarily come and get me, because there's probably some crazy person out there. The point is, someday you'll recognize that it was a secular enlightenment that dragged Christianity kicking and screaming into an Enlightenment era, that put a muzzle on the vilest aspects of your religion, and while other religions haven't been similarly muzzled, they may be. The solution isn't religion, it's humanism, it is secular enlightenment. Sexual enlightenment, too, I'm in favor of as well. But someday you'll realize that you're better than your God, and that you deserve better, and that the world deserves better. And that's the only comments I have to say about the nonsense from the Pope.